Coming to you from Kansas City, Kansas. Juice it, drink it, serve it. It's Late Nite Lemonade with Luke and Matt.
Yes, sir. So when life gives you lemons, you make a podcast. So this week, Matthew's got a couple of topics for us.
First topic, we'll be talking about float trips, what they are and why it's a Midwestern luxury. It's kind of like a chill whitewater rafting. You'll see people committed with $300 to $400 or even more kayaks or canoes. And then there'll be some people that'll get drunk just for the fun, just to float down the river or lake, whatever it be. So I've been on a couple float trips before. Have you been on any float trips? Do you like float trips? Have you heard about it?
Christian float trips, so bit of a different vibe to it.
What is a Christian float trip?
I used to go to this camp, and they had this massive river that went through. We would all get our tubes, go out onto it, and do this little tube float.
Oh, okay. So, okay.
We start at one point, and then we go all the way around, and then we get back.
See, I've been doing float trips for the past 3 or 4 years. I started out in Oklahoma. We had a really, really deep lake or ocean, not
Do
ocean.
you remember what it's called?
The lake?
Yeah, the lake.
I think it was Garrison.
Okay.
I think it was. But
Oklahoma has a lot of good lakes out there.
It was really nice. It was really cool, but it was very brown water. It looked like you were swimming through mud water. It was different than the ones in Missouri that I went to recently. You know, going on a float trip. People that are camping, they have RVs. They're having a cabin or something. They're doing all kinds of things. Not just going there to float down on the river and then leaving. They're usually having a weekend thing out on the lake.
So it's like, it's camping, it's food, it's drinks, it's water sports. So it's like the whole thing of just being outdoors, enjoying the sun, enjoying the water. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, definitely. I went a couple times, like I said. A few times that I have went, I've learned a lot from it, whether it's learning how to drink responsibly to where you don't float off the raft, because sometimes you get the job of having to row if you're in a raft.
Right. Okay, so you were in a raft.
Yeah.
So it's not a tube. You're not like laying on a tube.
No, it's not like a tire tube or anything like that. It's a big, huge raft, like it would be whitewater rafting.
Yeah.
It's just at most 8 people sitting
so,
on there.
So it's not just one person. This is a bunch of people on there together.
Yeah.
Almost like boating, except you guys are close to the water.
Yeah. Basically, your manpower is pushing you around.
Yeah.
But from what I went, you want to definitely wear enough sunscreen. First year I went, we didn't wear enough sunscreen, and we got completely fried. But we drank a lot, so that's why we didn't wear very much sunscreen. So we got very tipsy, getting in and out of water, eating snacks or drinking outside of the water, having some fun activities outside of the water to do.
Yeah.
Whether it's smoking or having a drink, or even fooling around outside of the water, whatever that be.
So where was your first float trip? You said it was in Oklahoma?
Yes.
Okay, Oklahoma, and then you kept on doing the same one, or did you do a different one after the first time?
After the first time, it was in Missouri.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was, because the last one I went to, it was about 2 years ago. I didn't do one last year. It just didn't fill with time and money.
Right.
But the first one I went in Missouri, it was way deeper than the one I had in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
One in Oklahoma was at most 3 to 4 feet deep.
Not bad.
The one in Missouri was about more than or going down in the water deep. So it's definitely different going in different places, getting different people, different type of float. Like I said, different people have had different things happen. So I've learned that going on a float trip, you want to bring beads like you would to New Orleans, the beads and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Reasoning being, they like to have some fun. So if you have beads, you kind of toss them around, show them a little bit, and maybe they'll flash you, give you a little bit of a treat. I know one year that I heard a person asked to flash, and they're like, flash, and she was like, no, I'm not going to flash unless you flash. So they wanted to see each other's, stuff. So they ended up seeing and doing that, and I was amazed by it because there's family, there's kids around, but they're still having some fun to have that done, and it's pretty funny to see. But float trips, they're more of a Midwestern thing due to like camping, not too much of an ocean around us.
Yeah,
So,
no. The
so you-
closest ocean to us is 12-hour drive.
Yeah.
Or if we want to go to the Great Lakes, that's an 8-hour drive up to Chicago area. So yeah, not too many options out here.
Yeah. It's more or less you're just getting drunk or just having a good time.
Yeah.
Just lazily going down the river about maybe 4 to 5 miles. Just giving a feel of that area, the environment. You have some music going. You'll get to it. You'll get the vibe going. I feel like it's a great getaway to have that done.
I mean, that's the biggest thing about the Midwest. We might not have any oceans, but we have some really nice lakes and rivers, especially out in Missouri. Missouri, like that whole area of Lake the Ozarks, and there's tons of areas out in Missouri. Just so many camping spots and Haha Tonka State Park. Like that whole area is just beautiful. You can do so many different things, including float trips and everything. So.
Yeah, from what I've gathered, it's just been a little bit of a boom lately. It's on the fairly cheap side.
Yeah.
If you want to get out and do something on the weekend, you don't have to like rent a cabin or have to rent a space. You can just go out there and camp. Be off the grid a little bit, enjoy it. This last float trip I went to a couple weeks ago, we rented a cabin for each of us. The group I was with, there was 9 of us that went, there. A couple of my people, they did a canoe. One of them, they brought their own, and then you can rent your own there as well. So they have options to rent out or bring your own in that sense of a raft or a canoe or a kayak. So many different things for you. But we had a cabin, and I kid you not, the cabin was literally just a cabin.
Yeah.
A bed, a light, and an air conditioning unit. It was like a tin roof.
10 roof.
Yeah, tin roof.
Yeah.
And it was like kind of like wood log around it. About 3 feet in, you got the bed.
Yeah.
So it was just door right there.
You're right there.
And then the weirdest, kinkiest thing that they had in there was a little camera about, this big, not very big, sitting right underneath the air conditioning unit.
That's a red flag.
Not at eye length or anything, below, right above the bed. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. Why would they have literally mirror right there? Well, after a while, me and my girlfriend, we, get settled in, and she's leaning over the bed, and she looks over at the mirror, and she's like, babe, I need you to go stand behind me. I'm like, oh, okay. So I get up and stand behind her, and I look straight at the mirror, and I can see a perfect shot of her face on that mirror. I was like, oh, these are dirty people. You could just a clear shot of the face while you're leaning over the bed. So it could have been for that, could have not been, but just to see
There's a
something
camera
like
in the cabin.
Yeah, I bet there
I'm not gonna stand here because they're gonna be recording something. There's gonna be a website with me on there. That's what's gonna happen.
cabinrats.com. No, we had some fun. I bought a projector for the float trip, so we literally put it in a little bitty cabin and then just put it on the roof and was watching some movies. So it was pretty nice to do that.
That sounds really fun, putting it on the roof and getting to watch it like that.
Yeah, it was. I know. After we had the float trip, after being extremely hot from the sun, getting some sun, and sunburn.
Yeah.
Drinking, on the float trip, not eating enough, if you didn't snack enough, you get extremely tired. So what we do after the float, we just go take a nap.
Yeah.
Go take a nap and enjoy that. Then we come back and we make our own food. We had some food on the go, like taco years ago. It was nice to have a little outing with us, um, just to get away from everything.
It sounds like a great time. It sounds very similar to what I do in Oklahoma. And so I have a friend out there in Oklahoma, and her dad owns a boat. And so we'll go on the boats, and there's this massive lake out there, and we'll go doing tubing, which is literally like this big old tube, and everybody climbs on. I mean, we had what 4 people on it at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Me and my friend were on there, and so they're driving the boat, and they start going swerving like that. And so we're on the end, just holding on for dear life and going shh, like that. And yeah, we flipped. So that was,
I
it was
bet.
a great time. And it was so funny too because I'm a bigger guy, and my friend, she was much smaller, and so I'm on this side, and we start flipping like that. Well, I just kind of fall into the water, kind of roll it off just fine. But what it did was literally catapult her from this side, whoo, like that. She goes flying through the air and hits the water like it's cement. And just like, ooh, all right.
She didn't
I don't want
skip.
to do that one again. No, not at all, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
so it's crazy. It's very fun to see people flip off.
I wanted to do more of that, more of like rafting, some boat experience.
Yeah, and I've been twice now this summer. Once with me, my little sister, my mom, and then her family. And then this last time, her sister from Mexico came up, and so it was me, her sister, and then my friend, and we were all able to go. And the first time that I went, I started doing surfing. Like I got to practice surfing, and it's not the same as ocean surfing where you're literally catching a wave and surfing on it, but it's the waves that come off of the boat, and so it's like lake surfing, and you're holding onto the thing, and you're on this surfboard. And the first time I kind of learned how to get up onto it, almost like a skateboard, but the balancing is really difficult. But I was only able to stay up for like 4 seconds. Like that was my whole time on it.
Yeah.
This last time I went, I was up for like a minute or so, just
Wow.
literally surfing on the waves, and it was so cool. You're like whatever leg is like your dominant leg that you're using to maneuver it, it gets really tired really fast, but it's so fun just getting to surf. And they also did skiing too, but I didn't do any of the skiing. I just wanted to do the surfing and the tubing. But having a boat, that is so fun.
That's a luxury.
It is a luxury. It's
You're
it's
rich if
expensive.
you have a boat.
Yeah, and we were going out to like the little areas, the sandbars, and there's a little island in the middle with a bunch of sand, and so we went to explore the island there and just went swimming and everything.
Some island dreaming.
Yep, island dreaming.
Yeah.
Not like the Island Boys, but yeah, that was a good time too.
That's fun. I wanted to do some like water stuff. I've done some like kayaking before. That's pretty cool. Just being on yourself, just getting that motion, going back and forth, whether it's going out to your local lake or somewhere bigger like that. But you gotta get the feel of balance. That's the thing. Balance. Anything in water. Balance is key. Not a lot of people have balance. Good balance. I'm okay. Off that.
And so you've done kayaking, right? Kayaking,
I haven't done canoeing. It's the same thing.
right? It's just you can fit more people on
Yeah,
it.
you pick up more people. It's a lot bigger. It's a lot more sturdy. It's just they're harder to for these guys.
You've been kayaking as well as going on these rafts. Where did you go kayaking?
I went with my brother-in-law to lake that we have on a County Lake.
Yeah.
We went up there just to have some fun with their animals and just to get out. And he does it about every week. We'll go out there in the lake and just have some fun with either the dogs or himself. It's actually really fun to do it because we'll be able to go around, not just like a certain area, like the floating area. You can go around the whole lake. You just gotta have a permit.
Yeah.
It's a little ridiculous with the price you have to pay. 'Cause it's like
Are you going to pay for it too? Wait, are you renting?
no, you have to pay since you're on the water with the raft. You have to pay like you would fishing license.
Is it
Or
expensive?
boating license. I'm not too sure on the pricing. I think it's paid like per each room you have for like the whole year or a single day, whatever. Since kind of like you have boating fees,
Yeah.
you have on the water, you have to pay for that. Um, but obviously, I don't have to pay since I don't have one. Kayaks and canoes can easily run up to like $200-300. I went up to Shields last week, and I was looking at some just to look at. And they have some really good selection, different types like styrofoams, plastic, like plastics. They have them tricked out to where you put a lot of stuff in it, or do bare minimum, but they easily over $200-300. And they climb from up there to thousands of dollars. There are people that's their life. They want to just go out there, canoe or whatever it be.
Yeah, I can respect it. It's fun. And that does remind me, I need to go to Shields or somewhere to buy a life jacket that fits me like good. Because I never realized that it actually matters how it fits. Because I've done the different boat trips, and I put the thing on, I'm like, okay, I'll use this. But whenever you're trying to do any water sports, like skiing or surfing, you have to have one that fits just perfect, or it starts going up too much, and then you literally start sinking in under the water like that. The whole thing goes up like this, and it's terrible for doing any of those sports.
Yeah, fitment has to be right.
So one of the other topics that we had today was the Spider-Man Spider-Verse across the Spider-Verse movies. And one of the cool things is right now that they don't have just one version of the movie like almost every movie out there, but they actually have a couple different, at least two known different versions of the Spider-Man movie right now. And so I found a website called Mary Sue, and they have an article up called "Wait, How Many Different Versions of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Are There?" And so I'm just going to read a little bit. As if the concept of multiverse wasn't confusing enough, it has now been confirmed that there are multiple versions of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse currently playing in theaters. If you've seen Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and if you haven't, why are you not currently headed to the cinema, Matthew? You'll appreciate the painstaking amount of details that went into making this movie. Each frame is a work of art, meticulously and painstakingly created and recreated to the detriment of the Spider-Verse artist's well-being to produce a narrative experience that is undeniably emotionally compelling. But now, on top of the pure artistry on display here, it turns out that there are more across the Spider-Verse than meets the eye. Over the last week, Twitter exploded with the news that there are multiple versions of Across the Spider-Verse currently in theaters, and it all started here. So they had two different ones, somebody talking about it on Twitter, and this revelation was later confirmed by one of the producers, Andrew Levington, an editor for both Spider-Man movies. After he quote-tweeted the above, I was wondering when people would start noticing that there was different versions. When Across the Spider-Verse first premiered, the audio mix was criticized as moviegoers cited trouble with hearing the dialogue over the score. I will agree, I went opening night, and I noticed from the very beginning that it sounded like the music was way louder than the words that were being said in the dialogue that they were talking about, especially at the beginning where Gwen, there's a scene where Gwen is a part of like a school band, and she's talking the whole time. The music is just...
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a weird, like, choice of the directors and everything doing that. But I think with movies recently, they've really been just pushing the movie out, even if it's not done. And I've seen it with other Marvel movies, where they'll like go back and re-edit things that don't look good, but they have like a premiere date that they have to have, and they are not done with the movie. And I've noticed that a couple of different times, including the Spider-Man movies. Far From Home or No Way Home, the last one, I noticed that there were some differences between whenever I watched it at home, and I was like, dude, they're totally showing an unfinished project in these movies. And so I think this is one of those examples. but this isn't the same thing. So they actually did scenes that were completely different. But there was the dialogue issues. To fix the issue, Sony distributed a new version of the film. While most people assumed this new version would only change the audio, it seems that there was editing changes as well.
Okay.
So at the moment, it seems there are 2 different versions in total, although the artist never confirmed that. But given the many subtle changes viewers have been able to find, there's a chance there might be many more. The scene where Miguel and Leah, as described in the tweets above, isn't the only sequence that has a difference. Redditor, I'm not even going to read that out. You posted a complete list of all the differences he's seen most people mention online. So some more differences that I've seen people list online. When the Spot, which is like the main antagonist, the bad guy in the movie, is going to put his finger in the mini collider, he either says, which would not be good, or he says, oh, what the heck. Another change was when Ben grabs Miles during the chase scene, he either says, I've got you trapped in my well-defined muscular, so don't even, or this one's called the sleeper hold. I'm using my bicep to constrict you. Another one, during the scene where Miles' dad chases the Spot at the beginning, he falls through one of the spots. You either get a scene where he groans and looks around, or you get a quick one-frame reaction of his face. One version seems to have the built-up cut from when Miguel is going to bite the vulture before the helicopter interrupts. There's also when Hobie first comes on the screen, when Miles says Hobie, a little text saying Hobie pops up. And I'm assuming that Hobie is one of those electronic characters. It's almost like a Hey Siri type of thing, or like an Alexa character that just pops up, but it's an animated character. So one version, his head pops up, and one version it doesn't. They also removed the voice lines when Gwen searches for Miles in the rubble. I remember at the first watch, and it was gone a week later, somebody else said. And somebody else quoted, OMG, I saw it Tuesday, and I swear there wasn't "that's funny" line from Miguel when Gwen's asking him what he is. There's also a difference in the chai tea scene, where in one, Miles says, no, no, and in the other, he says, sorry, I'm sorry, or something like that. And I do remember that one, because the character is, I forget his name, but he's basically Spider-Man, but instead of New York, he's in Mumbai, New York, because of the Spider-Verse thing. And the character is from India, and he's just like, why do you call it chai tea when it's chai means tea, so you're basically calling it TT, you know? And so that's the joke. Anyways, that's a lot of differences between these 2 versions, and it's so cool that they're doing a different version of the movie right now, because I haven't seen that pretty much besides like the minor changes that they do in movies when it seems like too much.
See, for them to do changes to that, is it making it to the multiverse?
Yeah, I think it might be. It's like
it can be.
Yeah.
It could be that switch, but as you said, it felt like it was unfinished, not completely there, not solid. So I could see, in a sense, for them to go back and do that, but why would you go back and do that after it's already there?
Right.
I've seen in some of the movies they've done that due to like historical things happening. For a great example, Lilo and Stitch, they had to go back and change their major scenes in it when they were in the plane due to 9/11. They had to completely cut out some parts, they had to completely change it, the animation. So in some ways I can see them going back for historical reasons.
Right.
But for that, in that way, it's maybe some things they overlooked and just trying to push it out. But in some way I feel like it goes into the multiverse because you're having different situations, problems, conversations going on to where it's different, but it's the same.
Right, and it's so funny that it's the Spider-Verse movies, and it's like a part of this multiverse.
Yeah, it's literally in its name.
So it's kind of fitting.
Spider-Verse. So
it's kind of fitting, and you know, it's a pretty good excuse for any of the animators or like the movie people are like, oh yeah, that's not actually a mess up. It's just in this universe the movie's not finished. And in this multiverse it is finished.
It's whenever you've seen the movie, this is what version you get.
Right, right.
So I could see that in a way that they make it a little bit different for everybody. You know, maybe it's the opening part to not only Spider-Man movies, but Marvel movies that they might have different versions of that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not the first thing that has multiple versions of it. Like video games.
Yeah.
Gosh, they have so many different versions of the ending. You know, it just depends on what you do or what you pick through that exploration.
Right.
You might have a different outcome.
And there's been so many movies, like, I don't know how many DVDs I have in my house that literally have alternative ending on the special features. And like, there's one good example of a movie called 1408 that we've actually watched. It's a great movie, and the ending is just absolutely perfect in my opinion. I've watched the alternative endings. They're horrible. They suck. They're so bad. It's like, man, I just watched this amazing movie, and the ending is so perfect that all the other endings are so sad.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, some movies it's just the endings are really bad, so they have alternative endings for a more happy ending. But that movie has the happy ending that they showed in the theater, and so all the other endings, not so great.
Yeah. That, like I said, it might be something that they implement not only in just that genre, the movie that they have going, but it might be something different, you know, in the multiverse for Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean, they gotta keep making something. So to keep switching it up, I think that's gonna be a good thing for them to do. Just finding a different tool for each and every person. Now, I think what would be a good thing is like area to where you're watching it. So that let's say at the West Coast, they'll have a different version versus the East Coast, or whatever it be, different type of region. Thinking out of something different. Because not everybody has the same problems, day in, day out, or interests, or something, things like
Right.
that. It definitely will give them more jobs to do, time and stuff. Figuring out what they can do with multiple versions.
Yeah. Have you heard about the famous Switch where they had two versions of the movie? Have you ever seen the movie Psycho?
Yeah.
So the original movie with Norman Bates. In the original movie, they have the characters, and I don't think this is a spoiler for a movie that's been out, what, 60 years or however long it's been out. So I think this is an okay spoiler. So in the very last scene, they're zooming into Norman Bates, and you know he's been the murderer the whole time. And he gives this slight smile, just, at the very end of the movie, and then they cut to darkness. And so that's the original version. And they have two versions. And the second version has them zooming into his face, the subtle smile, and then they do this transparent thing where you see his skull. And then they zoom out on his skull. And then the movie ends. And there was a bunch of people starting talking after they saw the movie. Oh my gosh, that movie was terrifying. Such a good movie. Oh man, especially the ending where they zoom into his face and it turns into a skull. Half the people saw it with just his face, and then half the people saw it with the skull. So they're like, "What? No way! No, he didn't have his skull showing." And so a bunch of people went back to watch the movie a second time, and then they're getting more money because people are buying 2 tickets to go see it again, just to see it at the very end of the movie that they're showing a skull or not. I just think that's a great way to make money.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Since you watched it on the grand opening, grand premiere, you've seen one version, so you're like, oh, I definitely want to see these scenes because I don't want to just hear it from somebody or just watch. I'm going to see the whole thing. Yeah, I want to see the difference and see, what's major or what's just something. So I think that's a good way of marketing. It's like, oh yeah, we put out 2 versions of our movie or show or whatever it be. You're going to want to go see it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you don't want to just listen to somebody, blah, blah, blah. You want to take it in personally. Just have that, okay, that shocked me, or, oh, that was totally different. And that really wasn't worth that.
Right. I prefer the original version better.
This is a take and pull situation, whether what version you want to go to.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a gateway. Maybe not. Maybe they're just trying something out.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have a different version of Barbie.
You know, they might. They might. With Barbie, though, it's different. I've heard so many skeptical things.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe one of the versions can be really fun and just all about Barbie and everything, and one can be about feminism.
Well, one could be about for kids, and one could be for teenagers.
Yeah.
It's PG-13.
It is PG-13, which is kind of surprising for a movie based on children's toys. I do get it though, because there's so many times when they take a children's show or like whatever it is and kind of make it more adult. Just like the Dukes of Hazzard when that movie came out, that movie was raunchy, and the TV show was not. That TV show is PG. That movie.
Well, what time did the TV show come out? What was it?
I wish I knew. I wish I
80s
knew.
or 70s?
Probably. We're gonna look so dumb.
Wherever I go, let's just say that. And then
I was born in the '90s, so you know.
Yeah.
I remember all that.
No, but it came out way before our time. But you know, definitely from that time to the 2000s, drastic change in culture.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the thing. Culture is a difference. But,
Yeah, and culturally, I mean, it seems like a perfect time for Barbie to come out. It's summertime. That's just like summer Barbie. You know, I remember my sisters playing with the Barbie toys and having all the different swimsuit ones, and then you have the what was it, Miami? Like I don't know, everything. It was just all beach style.
Miami Beach or something like
And
that.
all the clothes are like bright summer clothes. And I've not watched the commercial, but I've seen pictures, and so it's all those bright colors, and it looks really attractive.
Pink, hot pink.
Hot pink and like the yellows and the blues, and everything's just so bright in your face. It's like watching Amazing World of Gumball or like Teen Titans Go or something, where just the colors are at you.
Yeah. Yeah. Barbie was one of the movies that you go up and dress up, kind of like we would go to Star Wars or something.
Right, right.
Just kind of dress up as a person. And I kid you not, me living up the street from a movie theater, constantly seeing people bright pink outfits. I mean, I wasn't even near my house one time. I was out at a bowling alley, and we saw somebody at the bar, bright, sparkly pink shirt. I mean, kid you not, he was shining, and you know, he was just clear as day, just sitting there with his shirt.
Yeah.
But, you know, him not being at the movie theater was like, well, you can totally tell that they just came from there or going to it.
Right. It's always like those.
They were like dressed up, like just going to this casino. Yeah. Totally not fitting for where we were. And it's like, okay. Yeah, at a bowling alley. So I was like,
it reminds me of those TikTok videos where they're like, what movie are you going to go see? And it turns to the person and they're wearing like a Spider-Man outfit. They're like, what do you think?
What am I going to? Yeah, that's fun to at least dress up. Personally, I would probably do it, but I'd have to have a lot of guts to do.
Yeah, especially somebody like Barbie or Ken. Have you seen that Ben Shapiro dressed up as Ken and went to see the movie?
No.
Yeah, there's a picture on Twitter. It's pretty funny. He dressed up as Ken.
Wow. Yeah,
he went to watch it to see how well it would be, and then made a 45-minute video on his YouTube page about how horrible it is. So,
well, it's Barbie. It's not for everybody.
It is not for everybody.
It's a fun movie to at least watch.
Yeah.
I mean, you got older people that have grew up with Barbies or had Barbies. It kind of hits home for younger kids, in a sense, that are over the age of 13, and then so adults and stuff like that. Right? It is
teens and adults. I think who's going to watch it mostly is teenagers and young adults who grew up with women with their little just like, I'm going to go see the Ninja Turtles movie. And I hyped for it because it was awesome. I grew up with the Ninja Turtles. Had all 3 sets, watched the original show, watched the 2003 version where it got darker. This movie, the animation looks so good. So it all depends on your taste on music.
That's the things with movies is it's not for everybody, but yeah, I'd at least go to see part of the movie. Watch the movie. I'm not relax.
I do not have a girlfriend, so I don't have an excuse to watch it. If I did, I'd probably watch it. Do you know why it's so controversial? Like, why is it like it's
I've heard a little bit. What have you heard?
So the main thing is that it starts out really fun, really kid-friendly. It seems like a great movie to watch. And then, starting right whenever Kin shows up, it becomes a very feminist, almost, what's the word for it? But, like the men come in and start taking over the whole movie. And it's one of those politically charged type of movies. And that's why so many people are not for it, because 50% are not going to enjoy it, 50% are going to enjoy the politics that they put inside the movie. I forget what the word is, but there's a certain word that they use in the movie a bunch of times. Again, I haven't seen it, so it's not really fair for me to like judge the movie or say like, oh, this is stupid that they're putting this in there. Or it's not.
So much propaganda or something.
Yeah, I would have to look into it.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it, like you said. But not everything is for everybody.
Yep. It does bring up a good question, though. How do you feel about politics being pushed in every movie, every TV show that is right now? Because I've noticed it with everything. The reason why I liked the Super Mario movies so much was because it was just a movie. I got to see Mario go on an adventure with Luigi and Donkey Kong and Princess Peach, everybody. It was a fun adventure, fun for the family, fun for me as an adult now. Like, everybody that I went with, from Christian friends to not Christian friends to we went with some younger people, some older people. We all loved it. And it had no politics whatsoever.
Kind of a movie just to be a movie.
Yes, just a movie.
No backing behind it. Nothing.
Yep.
Demeaning or anything like
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's very controversial to have it publicly out there or push too much. I mean, we gotta have some way, something to at least push something. Because if it's like a sensitive movie or topic, information, they want to have the right information put out or anything to be well known if they're going over a certain thing. You just got to be very touchy with you because you kind of pulling into a certain type of people, a certain person, and you don't want to mess with the other person or screw with the other person. That's it. You don't get satisfied with watching what you have or sense.
Right.
Just there's a fine line sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta learn the line, but sometimes it's very visible in a sense where that should be where it is.
Right. And I don't mind some politics, like if they have one point that they want to push, that's totally fine. But it's like so over the top political, and you're just like, oh my goodness, you're pushing this so hard. Documentaries get passed because usually documentaries are about that subject.
Yeah.
But sometimes they get you. Like, I can't remember the movie, so it's not fair for me to say, like, this was a horrible movie, or, whatever it was. But the whole movie was about the fishing industry and how there's so much pollution in the ocean. And I was like, oh yeah, this sounds interesting. I want to know about all the pollution and the dark secrets behind fishing and all these different things. And so throughout the movie, they're pushing this idea that, yes, there's so much pollution in the ocean, and most of it comes from these nets that the fishermen have. And throughout the movie, they finally get to the conclusion. They're like, and the only way to stop pollution in the ocean is to stop eating fish. And I was like, what?
That's not a solution.
That's your idea to stop the pollution in the ocean. And they did not mention how we were going to fix all the trash that's put in the ocean.
Yeah.
And most of it's not from the United States, it's not from Canada, it's not from any of these countries. A lot of it's from Africa, where they have the literal trash going into these rivers that pass into the ocean, or some Asian countries that it just goes into the ocean. That's where a lot of the pollution comes from. But they just wanted to focus on the fishing industry and how much pollution they make. And the only way to stop pollution is to stop eating fish.
Yeah, because they're gonna have to have a backing behind it. But like, yeah, here's the problem. This is our solution. Does it work? No.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work.
It was so over the top that it made me want to eat fish more. I was like, I need to eat some fish now because I am so done with this stupidity. I just wasted 2 hours of my life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like, if it was all facts, it just, instead of opinions, that would have been something. I'd be like, you know what, maybe this is something that I could look into, or maybe eat fish less, or something like that. Nope. The only solution is for everybody to stop eating fish. Okay, that's pretty extreme, buddy.
It's very extreme. I mean, if we, in the sense, do stop eating fish, there's gonna be people that still fish over there for hunting.
Yeah.
You need some of the stuff from fish. I mean, it's still gonna be used in a sense. It's just like you can't get it away.
I would love the producers of that movie to go up to like places in Canada or like Alaska where they literally fish for food. Like
Deadliest
that's
catch.
their only deadliest catch. Like all these Native Americans and go up to their igloos and be like, "Come here, buddy. You can't fish anymore. It's bad for the world. You know, pollution, everything in the ocean." And they're like, "This is what we have. This is the fish that we eat. This is our meat. This is all we have."
And fish is good for you too.
Yeah, fish is great for you. Like I know some people who are pescatarian. That's literally the only meat they eat is, you know, veggies, fruits, whatever, and then fish.
I love to fish for fish.
Yeah, fish is fun.
You know, it's a good pastime to as well get away, have a nice little drink, just sunrise or sunset, any time of day. Just have that nice long time, just like in the river.
I think it's being next to water too.
That
Fish,
too.
just being next to water. It's so good. But I know this is a little off topic, but it kind of reminds me of this. Do you think sometimes, like PETA, for example, sometimes they go and do these ridiculous things, going out to a public place and then like throwing blood onto somebody and being like, "This is what happens to animals," throwing blood on them, and "You're killing innocent animals. All of you are murderers." They're so over the top. That do you think it could be that like meat companies are actually hiring these people to pretend to be vegetarians, vegans, to go so over the top that people see that and they're like, "Oh my gosh, these people are absolutely crazy. I am not for vegetarian. I am not for veganism." It's kind of a fun thought.
They could, but that's so.
I know, it's a good conspiracy theory. You know what? I'm starting a conspiracy theory today. That's exactly what happens. The meat companies are hiring people to act so crazy and ridiculous that people see that and say, "You know what? I need to eat fish now."
I got a job last week.
Yeah, that documentary was made by a meat company. The Fishermen. Yeah, The Fishermen. They made that movie. That's what happened.
They're like, "Yep, we're gonna go fish." No, I don't think they would really push that way because that's controversial.
Yep, very controversial.
They would very much get in trouble with not only wildlife and stuff like that, but by people.
Yeah.
They wouldn't want to buy from them. You know, misleading in a big sense.
Some movies have just some crazy politics in them. Some movies are just fun for fun, and then other movies have a great balance between being a good movie and then also having a good point of whatever they're pushing.
a lot of it, they just need a backing. Because if you have something to help push what you're trying to present, it gives you a lot of facts, in a sense, to be able to present that and just keep going on instead of running dry with creating a new story that's never been told or made. It's harder to present and have that keep going. Like you said, Mario did great with just making a story.
Yeah.
Then you got different movies that have to have something to get that drive going, keep it dry, and just have an ideal presentation for the movie.
And coming up with an original idea, kind of hard these days. Because I feel like we're in the sequel era. Like every movie is a sequel. Every Marvel movie that comes out now is a sequel to another.
Or a prequel.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You either got to make something after the fact, before the fact, or something around it.
Or remakes.
Yeah.
So many remakes right
There's so many different remakes just to get
some
some profit
good,
out
some
there.
terrible.
Yeah. One recently remake I watched was Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
I watched the original one. That one gave that homey feel to where, they recorded and there's movement jingling around, which I love in photography and videos. It's just that action movement of whether they're shaking, or they're trying to move in, adjust. And watching the original one, it definitely gave the good story. It's hard to believe that was real.
Right.
But
But I think at the time it was like one of the first documentary movies that style
from I think 90, 97 or 98.
Yeah.
So it's been some years since it had the new remake. And the new remake, it's going over just like the original one, but it's adding some stuff in there because it's not real.
Right.
The second one, but they added some stuff into there, which definitely makes more scary. Definitely. But not all remakes are the best. We've got different versions of it. Like my favorite movie, Jeepers Creepers. The first one was amazing. A lot of people like the second one more than the first. I love the first one. It just gives a better story of the understanding of the whole thing, of the concept. So sometimes they make it better the first time, sometimes they make it better the second time. It goes off the time that it was put out, first or second time, who directed it, who was acting, whatever they implement the second go around or the first. What makes it different to pull people in? That's the main thing. But it's definitely hard to make it original and then try to remake it to use it better.
Right. And I think most remakes don't want to destroy the original or say like this is going to be so much better than the original. It's just different. Alright, that's it for today's episode. Remember, when life gives you lemons, make a podcast unless you're not us, and then you can do whatever you want. Anyways, that's the end of our show. Matthew?
Thank you to coming to Late Nite Lemonade. Hope you guys have a good time.
Yep. See ya.